Something really interesting is going around in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. If you're not aware, the Asian English Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards have just restarted production with two new structure decks consisting of Blue Eyes White Dragon, a complete copy of the Blue Eyes White Dragon structure deck, but also a new Dark Magician structure deck that is going to join the card pool as well. It's got really cool reprints, mainly Magician Souls, probably as a common, so that's pretty cool. But more importantly, the Asian English Yu-Gi-Oh! Card pool just got a new and first Forbidden and Limited list, which we're going to talk about in today's video. But first of all, before anything else, what even is Asian English Yu-Gi-Oh? So Asian English Yu-Gi-Oh! Is sort of a combination of the TCG and the OCG in terms of the card prints. It looks very similar to the TCG cards, in which they are written in English, but they do have a prefix of AE standing for Asian English, where our cards usually have the EN sign or any other language they're printed in here in the TCG. But also more importantly, they have the OCG card back, which has the pattern that all Yu-Gi-Oh cards have in the back, but they have the Japanese OCG Yu-Gi-Oh logo. In addition to that, the cards are actually printed and manufactured in Asia, meaning they are printed on the same cardstock as OCG card, making them a little bit thicker and stiffer. If you ever held an OCG Yu-Gi-Oh card, you know what I'm talking about. And in terms of legality, you're not going to be able to play them in TCG tournaments, even though they are written in English, but you're also not going to be able to play them in OCG tournaments. They are officially legal to play in every country in Asia besides Japan and Korea, which have their own card prints in their own language. So for example, you're going to be able to play these cards in countries like China, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, every country that actually plays Yu-Gi-Oh in those areas. So now that we've established what is actually Asian English, let's talk about what cards exist in the pool of the Asian English card game. So as we see from the Yugipedia page of Asian English Yu-Gi-Oh, it basically lists here the sets that have been released in the Asian English card game. So if we sort by release date, we do have some releases in specifically World Championship participation packs, so some prize cards and participation prizes, but we have also sets, for example, all the Duel Monster sets, I believe, Ancient Sanctuaries here, Dark Crisis, Invasion of Chaos, LON, LOD, LOB, MRD, MFC, basically all the old school set, in addition to some GX or near GX sets like Rise of Destiny, Soul of the Duelist. We do have a starter deck Kaiba and Yugi that are both exactly the same as they are. We have another structure deck, Lord of the Magician. The Lost Millennium is here, and we also have some newer sets actually that have released, which are Crimson Crisis, which I think is the newest set that was released in this era. So it does mean if they do have Crimson Crisis, then they do have Synchro Monsters, but I think this is the only set that actually includes that. So the game has a very small card pool that is very limited up until 2009, but a lot of sets are missing in between. So why does that actually matter? Let's look at this page here off of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Game official website, English edition for Asia, Forbidden and Limited list. This is November, it cuts off here, November 2023. 30 forbidden cards overall, considering there's a smaller card pool, that kind of makes sense. Let's go over one by one, and there is a lot of things missing here. So let's see. Amazoness Archer, Canna Soldier, Cyberjar, Fiberjar, and Magical Scientist. This is it. These are all the monsters. So I don't think there's actually anything extremely toxic, but mostly what I'm missing here is Chaos Emperor Dragon, Yatagarasu, Sangan, and Witch of the Black Forest. So I'm not 100% sure. Maybe you guys know this and you can let me know in the comments below. Sets like LOD, an Invasion of Chaos, and of course Metal Raiders or Spell Ruler, I believe. MRD, I think, is where Sangan and Witch came out. Do they have original prints? Like, this is from the actual release date. I think it's like a couple of years after the actual TCG release. So are they errated? And if not, is the Yata lock completely legal in Asian English? Because the card pool does say that the cards exist, but I'm not really sure in terms of the database if they're corrected. We have Elma, which makes sense. Gearfried is in the game? Was it a structure deck Joey card? So maybe it's not there. And a lot of the usual suspects. So Card of Tape Return, Cold Wave Confiscation, dealing with all the Power 7 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Dimension Fusion is actually good. Giant Trunade, Heavy Storm, Last Will, Mass Driver, Metamorphosis, Mirage of Nightmare, Painful Choice, Pot of Greed, Premature Burial. Smoke Grenade of the Thief is actually a relatively new hit, specifically in the OCG as well. It was only forbidden in the last list. That's interesting. Snatch Steal, Forceful Sentry, and then in terms of the traps, we have Imperial Order, Last Turn, Life Equalizer, Magical Explosion, Royal Oppression, Trap Dust Dude, and Ultimate Offering. What we do see here is, first of all, there's no limited cards, and there's also no semi-limited cards. And this is very interesting because a lot of the cards that we know today from old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Are actually completely legal at 3. So considering that this is the list, what is actually missing here? So we did talk about the Yada pack, so Chaos Emperor Dragon, Yada Garasu, Witch of the Black Forest, Sangam, completely legal. I do want you guys to let me know in the comments below if they're errata. I couldn't find any resources for that, but that's going to be very interesting to see. Metal Raiders had a lot of good cards like Solemn Judgment, Change of Heart, cards that were banned at some point in the game. At 3, there's no limited cards here, no semi-limited cards. I think that also happened in the TCG when we first had a ban list, so only forbidden cards, and it was like an emergency list for Yada and Chaos Emperor. Raigeki and Dark Hole were both forbidden in the first list. In the TCG, they are completely at 3 here. Reinforcement of the Army, one of the strongest cards ever in the game that should definitely only be at 1 at all times. Now once per turn, searches for one of the best typings of monsters in the game. Completely legal at 3, and I think most importantly, the Exodia pieces. So the Exodia pieces are actually completely legal at 3. I wouldn't know if you want to play these cards at 3. That's kind of interesting. I don't think that if they were at 3, you would actually play them at 3 in a deck like that. But you still have a lot of cards from the olden days of Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe now with the list here, with things like Pot of Greed obviously being banned, that you can really abuse, but there's still like Royal Magical Library is in Magician's Force, and you can still probably get to some combo because you do have some sets in the way, so that's really interesting. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, like this is basically a restart of Yu-Gi-Oh! Including some new cards. So you have like sets like Crimson Crisis from 2009, the latest, right? But the bulk of the sets in the Asian English card pool are actually from way before, from Duel Monsters and a little bit of GX until Enemy of Justice. So it's going to be very interesting to see if we do have some tournament reports from what is actually going on there. It's going to be interesting if it does get some additional support. So now they're bringing out like new structure decks, modern cards, like jumping from 2009 all the way to like 2019 to release cards like Magician Souls and like Dark Magician support. That's very interesting. But most importantly, like if there are tournament reports here, it's interesting, like this is a restart of the game after everything that we know from the last 25 years. So it's just a fresh start altogether. I thought this was pretty interesting to look at, considering that this is something that doesn't happen in a while. They're only like ECG, OCG, and now Asian English is becoming relevant for some part of the world, and we get to see it at first hand, first ban list ever. Very interesting to see how this goes forward. So let me know in the comments below, first of all, what did I miss? What cards are actually legal that I missed here that could have an effect based on the sets that do exist in the Asian English card pool? And also let me know, are you interested even in knowing a little bit more about Asian English? I thought this was cool, just in like a perspective to something that I've never heard about up until now, and it's kind of making a comeback now. Lastly, if you do enjoy my videos and you do want to support the channel a little bit further, we do have a lot of new perks for members, so click the join button to learn more. You have early access to all of my deck lists, and some videos now will be members only a day before everybody else. So if you do want a sneak peek, join us in our members only Discord server where we talk a lot about Yu-Gi-Oh! This is all for members, and of course we have a new set of emojis that are really beautiful. It's really nice being a member, and of course it helps me create more content. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Love you guys. See ya. Peace.